I don't believe in coincidences. I do believe that everything happens exactly the way that it is supposed to. I believe that life is kismet. I believe that life is a canvas of all the colors, my favorites being yellow and blue. And I believe in miracles. That hasn't always been the case, though. When I came home from school on my 16th birthday, I found a house filled with crying family members. Not the surprise party one would expect, but I knew why they were there. My dad got the call on the afternoon of my 16th birthday that my second surgical biopsy came back positive as Ewing sarcoma in my rib cage. It's a rare type of cancer of the bones and soft tissue around the bones, and it mostly happens in children and young adults. After my dad shared the news that I already knew in my heart of hearts was coming, there was an awkward silence. It was broken by my older cousin, who almost hysterically but confidently shouted, "She's going to need some sort of transplant, and I know I'll be the match. I'll do it if I have to. I don't want to, but I will." This meant a lot coming from her. The very thought of needles or hospitals in general makes her physically ill, but she was up for whatever was to come. Lucky for her, I never needed a transplant. So that was my sweet 16. While everyone was processing the information, all I wanted to do was go eat Mexican food, which we did. The next day, we met with my oncology team at Phoenix Children's Hospital, and we learned that there was not a proven effective regimen to treat Ewing's. What they had been using wasn't working at all, which really isn't something that you want to hear. The odds were not in my favor. We were asked to participate in a clinical trial for a new chemotherapy regimen. I spoke with my parents, and we decided that we had nothing to lose. The clinical trial might be the ticket. And if it wasn't, at least it would help those diagnosed in the future. I told my dad, even if I don't make it, maybe someone else will because we did this. The day that I was admitted to the hospital for my first round of chemo, we had another meeting. My parents, my medical team, and me. And the doctor said, "Erika, this is going to be a really awkward conversation to have right now, but we have to have it. We are going to talk about babies. Do you understand?" I felt my cheeks flush immediately. Awkward. She went on to explain that the intensity of the chemo, the dosage, the prolonged exposure could all very well have adverse side effects on my ability to have children one day. She said that my periods would likely stop completely. And 3 things went through my mind. First, no period? Awesome. Second, lady, I might not even live long enough to have kids. Do we really need to talk about this? And third, if I do live and I can't have kids, what would I do? I was really relieved when that conversation ended. Little did I know that uncomfortable conversation would be the soundtrack of my future. I reflect back on it often. After 10 months of chemotherapy and a major surgery to remove 3 ribs, on February 12th, 2006, I walked out of Phoenix Children's Hospital as a survivor. My treatments were finished and the cancer was gone. Life after cancer as a teenager was interesting. It's not that I had a negative outlook on life, not at all. I appreciated my life so much, but I had become a realist. Life is hard. Kids get cancer, and sometimes they die. Heaven is real. I spent my late teens and early 20s living a really full but very black and white life. I graduated high school in the top of my class, received a scholarship for dance at Northern Arizona University, and obtained my bachelor's degree in elementary education. I chose education because during my treatment, I had a teacher who took the sole responsibility of getting me through my junior year of high school. But more than that, he became my friend. I realized how much impact a teacher could have and how seemingly small acts of kindness could change even the darkest of days. I met Johnny 1 year after I graduated from college. We grew up in the same small town of Globe, Arizona, but we went to rival school districts and our paths never crossed. Johnny showed me all the life's colors that I had been missing out on, the purples and greens, and the brightest blue in his eyes. And the yellows. I really love the yellows, like in sunshine, and the yellow ribbon that represents childhood cancer. We had been dating for about 2 months when we found ourselves in a conversation about our futures together. And for the first time since that awkward meeting with my doctors, I shared that there was a very real probability that I would not be able to have children. He said he understood, and that if that were the case, adoption was something that he had been drawn to. Then we jumped into what our wedding colors were going to be. We were married on a beautiful September evening. We decided rather quickly that we wanted to start growing our family, and we found out that it wasn't going to be easy. We went through all of the things related to infertility, and ultimately, it was a heartbreaking closure of a door. Even though we knew the probability, it was a really hard pill to swallow. I was angry that I had had cancer and that the medicine that saved my life had prevented my ability to create it. I felt guilty that my amazing husband was being denied the gift of fatherhood. Despite the hurt, though, we each continued to believe that our miracle would come. I started using the hashtag #ALifeWorthLiving on social media. I never explained it to anyone because really it was for me, to remind myself that I had been given not 1, but 2 chances to live this life. And regardless of any hardships that I would ever face, it would still always be worth it. Our daughter is here today. Her name is Raleigh. She was a year old when she came to live with us through foster care and has officially been a Flores for 2 years as of yesterday. She is our miracle and our sunshine girl and every bright and wonderful color that exists in this world or in any other. And she was the beginning of my second act. After our experiences with infertility, foster care, and adoption, other couples started coming to us with questions about the process. We meet with them informally, like at a coffee shop or FaceTime calls, and share our experiences. Adoption is a life-changing event. You make yourself completely vulnerable to unpredictable circumstances. We have found that we're able to calm some of their fears by sharing our story. There's also a great deal of conflicting information about foster care and adoption, and it's helpful to speak to someone who has actually been through the process. We love mentoring them, knowing the joy that they will experience when they receive their own rays of sunshine. I don't believe in coincidences. One day, shortly after Raleigh's adoption, I had an epiphany while in the shower. I stuck my head out, and I said to Johnny, "I get it. If I had never had cancer, I would not have had the struggles with infertility. Without infertility, our hearts would not have been turned to foster care and adoption. And without those 2 things, we would not have our beautiful girl, our missing link. And I believe that I'm here at this exact moment because it's where I am meant to be. And so are each of you, here, at this exact moment in time. It is not a coincidence. It's kismet. It's a life worth living.